Hi, everyone. My name is Rob with FeedbackWhiz. I'm here today with Tamara from Feedback Winners. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. So we're going to start out today a little bit. Let's go back a little bit and talk about pre-Amazon.
Yep.
What brought you to that point?
So for everyone who doesn't know me, I'm Tamara, and I started my Amazon FBA journey in 2017, and that was because I hated my 9-to-5 job. Absolutely hated it. I worked a 9-to-5 office desk job for the last 10 years of my life, and I had enough. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to start my own business. I don't care what it takes. I'm just going to go. And it wasn't until I just started Amazon and I actually got laid off of my last job, my last 9-to-5 job. I think that was a sign, and I went full time with Amazon.
Yeah.
So I felt like I didn't have a choice. It was either let's make it work or I go back to my crappy job. So.
And if I remember correctly from hearing about your story, there was several jobs, right? Or several layoffs or something? Yeah.
So in the last 10 years, I got laid off 5 times. I got laid off 5 times. Yeah, I probably got fired once. I don't remember.
Wow.
But I think every time I got laid off or I got let go, I think maybe the universe was trying to tell me something. But I was so stuck in my comfort zone. I think that's like a lot of us, right? We're so comfortable and we're so scared to take risk.
Yeah.
So 10 years, I was scared. I was like, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was getting closer to 30. Let's not talk about my age, but I was getting closer to 30. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? It's now or never. So I'm glad I did it though.
Which is funny because I'm just the opposite. I went back to 9-to-5 and sold my business. So, well, that's awesome. So let's talk about how did you discover? Were you already selling on Amazon, or you just happened to see it? You're watching videos?
I actually came across a friend one day that was doing it, and he was absolutely making a killing. Nice. I always wondered, how does this guy work 6 hours a day and have a 6-7 figure business? So I started researching and everything on my own, and I just pulled the trigger. My first product, I pulled the trigger without knowing a thing. By the way, don't do that. don't do anything if you don't know what you're doing. But that's exactly what I did. I learned the hard way. And that's kind of how I started going about it. And I remember my first failed product. Going through it was really difficult. Mm-hmm. But if I think back today, I'm actually really happy that I failed, because if I didn't fail, I won't be here right now. So.
And you learn from it. Right?
Oh yeah.
Learn from experiences.
It was an expensive mistake. So yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that mistake, because you do talk about it. So,
I did talk about it on my YouTube channel.
Maybe not everybody had a chance to watch the YouTube. So why don't you explain a little bit about that product and what happened?
Well, when I got laid off, I was doing Amazon and Shopify, but I was kind of just figuring myself out and kind of choosing, is it Shopify that I want to do or is it Amazon? And I was extremely confused. But when I started doing Shopify, it wasn't Shopify drop shipping. I basically bought a lot of clothing from overseas and tried to resell it. And I lost $15,000 because I had no coach, no mentor. I absolutely didn't know what I was doing. Just, kind of dived right in. I didn't give up though. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? That was a big loss, but okay, let's just focus on Amazon. Yeah. And my first product failed in September of 2017. I was selling.
Oh, you had it down to the month there.
Oh yeah, I remember everything. Yeah. But again, I had no direction. I didn't even know there were YouTube videos about it. I just kind of, dove right in. And my very first Amazon product, I lost $5,000. So together, I lost $20,000.
Yeah. Wow.
But I'm happy I did. I know it's weird, but I'm happy I failed, or else I would have not learned anything.
Absolutely. So. Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did the YouTube, when you got into the YouTube, was that before Amazon or?
That was after I started selling successfully. So what happened was, after my first failed product, I kept going. I kept thinking in my head, it was either I keep going or I go back to my 9-to-5 desk job, which I didn't like. So my second product was the winner. It was just selling like crazy. So
was that an FBA winner?
Yeah. Well, I didn't.
I'm just plugging.
My second product, that was my winning product, I didn't even have FBA winners. I had no YouTube channel. I had nobody, like,
just getting
nobody
started.
knew me. Like, nobody knew me. But I started getting involved with a lot of online communities. Like, I started commenting on other people's YouTube videos, and I started joining other Facebook groups. And then I added a lot of value, and I helped a lot of random people.
Sure.
And then people started messaging me and asking me to teach them. And I was like, what?
That throw you off a little bit?
Yeah, I was like, no, I don't want a YouTube channel. I just want to, like, be, do my own thing. But the more requests I got, the more that kind of motivated me.
Yeah.
And knowing how badly I failed and knowing how risky it could be, I was like, let's make a change here and help people. Yeah. So that's when I started YouTube, and that's when I started FBA Winners. It just kind of fell in my lap. It wasn't, like, planned for anything. Wow. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very inspirational, actually.
Yeah, it was not planned for.
So let's talk a little more about the Amazon journey, like getting started with it. So you had this career, you got laid off a few times, you started getting people requesting. Now, did you jump immediately into helping people, or was it like a kind of at the same time, I'm going to help people, but I'm going to also learn how to, get products launched and do this right?
Yeah. So after my second product, that was the winner. It was in January to February of 2018. That was my first winning product. I started sourcing more products. So I went, after I figured it out, I was like, okay, let's keep going, right? Every penny that I made, I reinvested back in because I want to, like, grow. So I kept reinvesting, and I kept getting more and more people kind of coming to me, telling me to help them, because I was kind of like, showing them how I was doing, and they were, like, inspired. And then everything just started happening. Yeah. So I was selling on Amazon. I was doing my YouTube channel. It was just getting started in 2018. And then I started my own Facebook group, and then I started doing coaching, and then now I have my own training course. So it just kind of happened.
FBA Winners.
Yes.
Facebook group.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure you get that plug in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that you get asked this question probably daily. Tamara, I don't have any money, but I want to get started on Amazon. Right. What do I do?
I get that every day.
Every day.
I think I got that right before I got on here.
I think you even have a video that we'll link to about that.
So what I always tell people, like, if I could go back in time, is if you are going to invest your hard-earned money into this business, you have to know what you're doing, because a lot of people, when they don't have money, they're on a budget, so they don't really want to, like, pay for any kind of, like, training or coaching or subscriptions, right? Like FeedbackWhiz, or they try to really save that money. But what I want,
which is understandable.
Yeah, because I've been there too. Yep. I was penny pinching too, and I had to sell a lot of my personal items to get my investment. So for everybody that is starting, I would say, like, just take it one step at a time, because a lot of people, when they're just starting, they get super overwhelmed, and they hear all these stories from other people, like, you need $10,000, you need $5,000, but you really, like, yes, you should have that amount, but it's not something that you pay all up front, right? It's taking it one step at a time. So I'm going to pay for subscriptions first, like tools to find the right product. When I pay for that, I'm going to pay for the products. Yep. Then I'm going to pay for the advertising. So it's really broken down. It's, in my opinion, it's totally affordable for many of us. But I think a lot of people, they're really caught up in thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to spend, like close to $10,000. That's not the case. Yep. So.
And I watched your video on getting started and how to, like, kind of create some money to get started. And it was awesome. You basically went through your closet, pulled out some stuff, right? Got on eBay and started selling it and created some money, right?
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of people, if you guys don't have, like, the initial investment, you're going to have to go out there and make that money to start. Because for myself, I sold used clothes. Like, I would go, like Boxing Day shopping. I bought, like, a whole bunch of stuff that was, like, kind of like designer, has, like, a label on it. And then I just resold it. I flipped things. I kept flipping things. And actually, for people that don't know, I flipped things a lot in my earlier 20s. And I made $40,000 on eBay before I even knew about Amazon.
Yep.
So I had that, I had that cushion, but I worked super hard for it. It was, yeah.
If you notice a theme, like if anybody goes back and looks at some of our other videos and guests we've had for meetups, a lot of us started on eBay, including myself.
Yeah. eBay is like completely different from Amazon. You can list something at the end of this meeting and it, like
have it sold before you leave.
Yeah. You just need to connect your PayPal account, put up like an old Nike t-shirt and it will sell. It may take some time, but it will sell.
You'd be surprised.
Oh yeah. Like, you can sell literally anything in your house. Yeah.
So got this money together.
Yeah.
My guess is, let's go through the steps. Like, let's start with the first step, right?
Yeah.
You're going to start researching.
Yes.
So let's go over the researching part of getting ready to find a product you want to sell on Amazon. Kind of step us through what was your whole process of that, of researching to find a product.
So in the very beginning, like, I remember I was super overwhelmed with information I found on YouTube, but I didn't know, like, what to follow because everyone was saying different things. So I started kind of testing out like every single little thing. And when it really comes down to it, like, yes, there's a lot of strategy involved, but I think a lot of it has to do with your mindset. Yep. And not a lot of people talk about, but basically it's like being resourceful, because if you can't find ways to be resourceful and use like Google or like reach out to people or join very supportive Facebook groups where people can help you answer questions and just have a really like good support system, like community, it's going to be 10 times harder. So it's really, like who you are trying to like learn from and everything. Yeah. But there are really great tools out there that can help you, but a lot of it has to do with just getting involved, asking questions, and helping others too.
So when you were researching yours, and let's say you found a few products, did you go to Alibaba? Did you go directly to manufacturing? What did you do?
So I went to Alibaba only because, so just so anybody is wondering, if anything goes on your skin or goes in your mouth, you should probably get it sourced from the US if you live here, right?
Good tip.
Yeah, but if it's, a normal product like a cell phone case or, anything that you don't consume, you should go to Alibaba because it's a lot cheaper.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper. And even with shipping, it's still cheaper. But if you're selling anything like supplements or, skincare, you want to get it from the US because I highly doubt people would trust like an Asian company kind of selling, facial products.
So I think the tip there is if you're getting started, probably supplements are not the best thing to start with.
So
start with a few products.
Yeah, because when you're first starting, you want to make your life as simple as possible, like as smooth sailing as possible, right? And I know a lot of us have creative minds, but with any business, there's going to be roadblocks, and you want to try to like kind of resist those roadblocks if you can. So if you source a more simpler product, it's going to be less roadblocks, in my opinion. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you found the products. Did you just air them in? Were they small enough, or did you have to bring them in on freight?
Yeah.
What did you end up doing?
I have a freight forwarder. So if anyone is selling right now, I talk about it a lot. You should really hire a company to do shipping on your behalf, because not only are the rates lower, but they help you pass through customs. So a lot of people, especially newer sellers, they're always wondering, well, how do you get through customs? Like, how do I know the regulations? How do I know what the US customs want? Well, if you hire a professional to just ship it on your behalf, not only is it cheaper, but they know what they're doing. So it could pass through customs.
Are you also using them for like the drop testing, the packaging, the labeling, all that stuff?
Yeah, so my suppliers do all the labeling. Like, I try to get them to do as much as they can, because obviously I have a lot of work, right? So if your supplier can do it, get them to do it, because it's worth paying for that, extra amount. But yeah, I try to like outsource as much as I can when it comes to products. Yeah. In terms of sizing, if it is your first, second product, I do recommend like lighter and more simpler, only because, again, you want to make your life easier. But if you're an experienced seller, maybe this is your third or fourth product, maybe it's a good time to start sourcing a product that's either more expensive, maybe a little heavier, because those bigger, more expensive products have less competition. So
you just gave a great tip there.
Yeah.
I hope everybody's taking notes on that one, because that's actually true.
Yeah, because the smaller, lighter products that are cheaper, it is more saturated and more competitive because it is lower in price, but it also makes your life easier. So there's pros and cons, but when you make your money from Amazon and you know how to kind of do things now, you can start sourcing more less competitive products that are heavier and a little bulkier. Yeah.
Now, what about, you run into any issues dealing with bringing stuff in, or?
It's funny because I get a lot of questions in my Facebook group where people run into a lot of roadblocks, but I've never had that many. I think it's because, again, I knew what I was doing after my winning product. I was like, okay, I'm going to stay away from this, and just don't make those mistakes. But a lot of the people who are running into these really serious roadblocks, whether it's shipping or getting their listing shut down or anything, it's because they never did the full research.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
you figured out the products. Now we're going to list them on Amazon.
Yep.
So walk me through a little bit. Do you have a process you do for titles, descriptions, photos? I mean, that's a lot to go over, but.
Oh, yeah. So
maybe break each of those down for us.
Yeah. I mean, long story short, you want to have your product listing optimized. So what optimization is having your keywords in the right phrases. So for example, if I'm selling a water bottle, it has to say water bottle, because that's how 99% of the population is sourcing it. You're not going to put bottle for drinking water, because that's not how we search things, right? So when it comes to optimization, you really have to know your keywords. So keywords basically meaning, how are people naturally searching this online?
Yep.
And that comes with using tools,
yep.
right? Because tools will show you what keywords people are organically searching. Or you could hire someone, you can outsource that, but it does cost money, right, with everything. I do it myself, though, with the product listing optimization.
So for somebody getting started, would you suggest that maybe just to get started, they use keywords in there that they would probably search to find it? Like if it was a water bottle, right? I'm going to put water bottle, but maybe I add a little more to it. It's a clear water bottle, so many ounces, something like that, right? Because if they don't have tools necessarily or know how to use those yet.
Yeah. I mean, with the tools nowadays, there's tons of tutorials, like even with FeedbackWhiz, like you can go to YouTube and see their tutorials. So with every single tool that you guys do use, there's always tutorials. So, what I think is it's pretty impossible to do your product listing without any tools. Like people have asked me this because they're on a budget. They want to save like that $80.
They're getting started.
Yeah. It's not worth it. Like it's 110% not worth it to cheap out, because if your listing is not done properly, if something is not done properly, you're risking your whole investment, and that's not worth it, right?
Yeah.
Like you should just go all in and don't go halfway.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, what about same thing with descriptions? Like keyword it, make sure that it's there.
Yep.
Any hints
Everything
on
has
that?
to be like done in the right way, fully optimized, and staying within what Amazon wants, because Amazon has certain character limits. So you shouldn't really be like making like a really like long product description or really long bullet points, and there's a lot that goes into it. So, yeah.
And we've got to mention too that, I mean, a lot of the things we're talking about, you got to be careful on Amazon's terms of service. You got to make sure you keep paying attention.
Yeah, and it's really not that difficult. So a lot of people, they ask me a lot of questions about Amazon's terms of service. Am I allowed to do this, and am I allowed to do that? How I train my students and members and anybody that asks me these random questions, I always tell them to refer back to their terms of service. I mean, with every business, you should kind of like, especially when you're using someone else's like platform like Amazon, you have to stay within their terms of service.
Absolutely.
And in order to find that out, just make sure you read it, and
occasionally check back.
Yeah.
Because they change it.
It changes. So with Amazon, one of the very important things I would say is to stay on top of everything like every week, because
you got to be all in.
Yeah, because there are people that don't talk to for a few months and they come back into the game because they've been MIA, missing in action, and they're like, oh, can I still do this? And I'm like, didn't you get the memo? You're not allowed anymore. So it's your responsibility to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Facebook groups are good for that too.
Yeah.
Because people post on there.
Everyone's welcome to join my Facebook group, FBA Winners.
And that was?
Amazon FBA Winners, yeah. But I mean, you guys should always be communicating and getting involved with the community if you want to sell on Amazon, because there's always going to be someone who knows it and you need help. So you should get some help, yeah.
So I think it was last month's meetup. We had Nick Valke from productlaunch.io. Went over some great information about launching products, and he was talking about images and how important they are. I'm assuming that you're probably the same way. Images are very important.
Yep, images are important, especially your main image. So obviously all your images should be great, but your main image and your price has to be right, because when you're running Amazon sponsored ads, PPC, the customer is scrolling on Amazon, and if they don't like your image and they don't like your price, they're just going to scroll right past you, forget about you. So you're missing out on your sales, right? So your main image has to be A+++, and your price has to be super competitive. So if you're sourcing a new product, I highly, highly suggest your price is just $1 or $2 lower than your top competitors, because you want sales. Like we want sales, and you want to get ranked up for like very high. And in order to kind of get the customer's attention, you should have a very, very good main image, and your price has to be super duper competitive. And of course you could raise your price later, but in the beginning, you should focus on just getting as many sales as you can to get that initial rank.
And that initial launch too, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So maybe touch on that a little bit. How important is the launch? What you were starting with it. So go a little more about what's around that whole launch of that first product and what needs to happen.
I'm sure like a lot of you guys are probably wondering, like, there's a lot of times people come to me and they say, Tamara, I'm just not getting sales. And usually, like I would say 75% of the time is because no one can see your product. So if no one can see your product and it has no visibility, meaning it's not on page 1 for a lot of the keywords that people are actually searching, they can't buy your product. So with your product launch, you have to make sure that you are actually launching your product and knowing how to launch it. Because if you're not knowing how to launch it and you just put your product on Amazon and hoping that you get sales, you're not going to get any sales. So yeah, everyone has to launch their product, and they need to know how to do it. Yeah.
And you actually have quite a few videos I noticed that are about launching products.
So launching products right now have been changing tremendously. I mean, it's different today even than a few months ago, because a lot of, I'm not sure if everyone's been following, but there's been a lot of newer accounts getting suspended because they're trying to cheat their way through. They're trying to use like launch services, marking their product off at 90% off and cheating their way through to get that rank. But what's going on is Amazon's slowly catching on to it. So what I suggest to launch your product successfully today, and I actually recommend it since day one, is using PPC pay-per-click, because it's all Amazon. That's not against their terms of service, and it's organic. So you should be launching your products with PPC. So let's talk a little more about PPC. How crucial is PPC to your products? Crucial.
I mean, it sounds like it's a crucial thing.
So actually, when I was a newbie, like when I didn't know what I was doing, I never used PPC, because back then the giveaway launch services was so easy. You pay a launch service, you mark your product off at 90%, and you're on page 1 in 7 days. It was like that easy. But things have changed so much that today, if you're not using PPC, even if you make it to the first page, you're going to fall back down, because you want to drive as much traffic, especially organic traffic, to your product listing as possible, because Amazon knows, like they know what kind of traffic you're bringing in, right? PPC is like a must.
So what's the crucial range? Oh, like you go live.
Yeah.
Is it the first 24 hours, first 48, first week?
Oh yeah.
What have you seen?
So there's two types of, you mean when to turn on the PPC
or just even like when you first launch, there's usually like a velocity, right? Like you need to ramp it up at some point. What's that kind of crucial time frame to do some of these things?
One of the biggest mistakes that I've seen sellers make is leaving their listing on autopilot. So their inventory has checked in and they're just kind of like still kind of like confused, like, should I run PPC or should I get reviews first? But my response is everything should be ready and your game plan should be ready before your inventory even hits the warehouse. Like, you have to have your launch strategy in mind. You have to know exactly who's giving you your initial reviews. You have to know like your game plan since day one.
Yep.
Because it's very easy for people to just fall behind or not know what they're doing. So for myself right now, if I were to tell anyone who's starting their new product, turn on PPC day one, turn on automatic PPC, and make sure day one your product hits the warehouse, you're getting your reviews. Like you should have like honest reviewers lined up to just ask, hey, do you mind buying my product, and leaving an honest review?
Yeah.
Honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to asking for reviews, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yep.
Obviously, I'll disclose I work at FeedbackWhiz, so I'm a little biased.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful on the wording there too.
Yes. Yeah. So when you guys, just so everybody knows, you can ask your friends and family for reviews. That's not against terms of service, but you must not pay them and you must not tell them, hey, give me 5 stars. I mean, if you do that behind closed doors, that's your problem, right? Whatever.
I think everybody just grabbed their notebook and wrote that down. So.
Yeah, but I mean, for myself, I just ask my friends. I ask family and friends to get 5 reviews. I do that day one. Like, the product comes into warehouse today, 5 people are gonna buy it, but they're not leaving the review right away. It's gonna be spread out.
Sure.
In like 2-3 weeks, and then ready to launch. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's not waste time, right? So
if anybody's watching this video late, check terms of service before you do that, just to make sure that didn't change.
Yeah, just don't have it written somewhere, like online or anywhere, towards your friends or family, like, hey, give me 5 stars. Because if that ever gets traced back to you, you're done.
Yeah. So one of the things we just saw, I would say within the last week or two, is we call it the if statement at FeedbackWhiz. So you can't go in there and say, if you leave me a positive review, or if you leave me a 5-star review, then this. So you got to be careful on that.
And you know what? There have been some coaches that do teach that.
Yeah.
I personally think it's just too much of a risk, because there are a lot of, I'm sure everyone's heard of like Facebook and ManyChat nowadays to kind of get rank and do your launch, which is fine. That's completely fine. But a lot of people are trying to invent ways to get reviews where they're reimbursing the customer for reviews, saying things like, hey, buy my product, leave us a review, and we'll pay you back on PayPal or something.
I have to say, on the flip side of that, the people leaving the reviews have to be careful, because they're getting banned now.
So it's, but you know what? It's really not that difficult as everybody makes it seem. I mean, if you have a good product, if you have a really good product, a really good price, and you're nice to the customer, I don't see why they would not leave you a review.
I think that you hit a crucial point right there. And we've talked about it. Henson, our CEO, has done interviews with you, and he's even said, just have a good product.
Yeah, it's true. Good product. And so lately I actually changed my email sequences in FeedbackWhiz. I was using the same sequence, just so you guys know, like after the customer receives your product, it's an automated email that goes to them saying, hey, please leave me a review. I've been using the same one for a year, but recently I came across a different one, and I put in my own kind of like personalization to it.
Yep.
I got like twice the amount of reviews just by changing the email sequence.
Yep.
So you don't have to cheat your way. Like, you really don't. Like with Amazon, I think a lot of people are expecting things to happen quickly and like fast, right? But if you're honest and just working hard at it and you have a really good product, everything will fall into place. It really is that simple.
Yeah. You can ask, please leave a product review.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then, I mean, we usually recommend no more than 3 emails in a sequence, 2 sometimes. Usually the first one is just, right after the item shipped, here's your tracking number. Yep. Then depending on the type of product you're selling, we'll say, okay, once they receive it, either let's say within 3, 5, 7, or even 30 days, depending on what the product is. And that's where you just got to know your product and what you're selling. Because if you're selling a supplement, for instance, it could be 15 to 20 days before somebody either feels the effect of it or really can make a determination from it. Whereas a cell phone case, you get it that day, you throw it on.
Yeah.
So 2 days from when they receive it is probably a good time to ask.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about, let's go back a little bit to product launch. What about outside avenues to help with that product launch? Facebooks, things like that.
Yeah. So another way of doing like an organic product launch is through Facebook ads and ManyChat. However, it can come off as a little advanced to anybody who's new, only because with Facebook, you need a certain audience. Like with Facebook, it's all about targeting. So if you are just starting your Amazon business and you have no audience, like no built up audience, you have nobody to really target. You're kind of just randomly picking gender and likes and dislikes, but that's absolutely not the way to go.
Yeah.
So with all my launches now, I only do Facebook ads and ManyChat, but that's because I pulled the customers that I already have in Seller Central. So with my Amazon account, I pulled them from FeedbackWhiz. I have that really hot audience that basically I'm pulling everybody who's bought from me. I'm uploading that audience onto Facebook and I'm retargeting them.
Yep.
And they know who I am because they bought from me on Amazon. And Facebook is super powerful. So they match the customer's profile on Facebook, whoever bought your product on Amazon. We have all their information through FeedbackWhiz and Seller Central.
At least going back 30 days.
Yeah. No, 30 days.
New rules.
So,
new Amazon rules.
Yeah. So even with 30 days of customer data, as long as you guys have like 100 customers who bought from you, you upload that audience onto Facebook and Facebook does its magic. And your customers who bought from you on Amazon will see your ad and be like, oh yeah, like why wouldn't they buy it for 50% off? It's just stupid not to.
Yeah.
So that's how I've been launching. Yeah.
When you were kind of I'm just gonna back up a little.
Yeah.
So when you were transitioning from the sort of 9 to 5 to selling,
Yeah.
it had to be a little scary.
Yes. Yep.
So how do we talk to somebody who maybe is in that point where they're like, I really want to do this. I'm not sure. I'm kind of scared.
Right.
Tamara, what do I do?
Yeah, I have some silly videos about this on my YouTube channel. But anyway, if anyone is planning to like take on entrepreneurship full time, you want to start your own personal brand, selling physical products or whatever it is, I would one thing I would suggest, this goes for everybody, is you have to have money saved up. Because if you're planning to start any kind of new business, you need to invest money to make money. You have to have investments, and you also need to survive. So, I never recommend people to just quit their jobs and start something new. That's a really, really high risk, especially when you don't know what you're doing. But if you were in my position, you were kind of forced to let go, then you have no choice. But you really have to just make that commitment. I think it all comes down to how badly do you want it? Because if you're just kind of I don't know, then don't do it. Right.
So if somebody's working 9 to 5, how many products do you think they should start with? One or two? Just one.
Yeah, one.
Because they can full time just do it.
This brings me to another important point because I talk to members every day, and the biggest mistakes that I have seen is someone just going to they're going all in, but they're going all in. So they're investing and I've seen this. People have lost $10,000, $20,000 overnight because they didn't know what they were doing and they were so excited. They sourced 5 products all at the same time, and now they're like, I don't have time to manage it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to run my PPC. And
did they at least research it prior? And no. So they just picked 5 random products
randomly because they were so pumped by this, this new business opportunity that they just, I don't care what I sell. I just want to start today. As much as you have that kind of hype, it's really not a good idea. You should always take it one step at a time, so you know what you're doing and you're kind of like feeling it out. And you know what? A lot of people, sometimes down the road, they find out that's not for them.
Yeah.
Right after they get like a taste of Amazon, they're like, it's not for me. And well, you just sourced 5 products. What do you mean it's not for you? So
jump on a group and get rid of it all. I've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about YouTube. So your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The first video. What was the first? I can't even remember myself.
Yeah,
I'd have to look back. What was the first video about, and when? What was where were you at that point, kind of in the whole Amazon world?
The very first day I started YouTube, I already had my winning product, so I had something to talk about.
All right.
And I was already had like some content to kind of, give advice and tips and strategy and stuff. I just made my FBA winners Facebook group back then. It was May 2018. Yeah, it was a year ago from today.
Awesome.
My very first YouTube video, it's still there. Basically, it was just talking about why I started YouTube. So it's kind of sums up what we talked about today. But yeah, I can't even look back at myself. I'm just like, whoa, did I sound like it's, you grow as a person when you start doing this kind of business. Everything gets easier. Everything gets better. You just have to be committed. That's like the number one thing. So when people come to me and they ask me, should I get started? Like, what should I do? I always tell them, if you're not going to be committed and you don't have time every day, don't start.
Yeah.
Don't start, because it's like a new baby in your life. You have to take care of it every day. And
just like the products, just like YouTube.
Yep. And
it's a full-time job.
Yeah. It's, and it's not, it doesn't take the whole day. I would say 1 hour a day. And if you were consistent with 1 hour a day, you are going to get somewhere. But if you're just kind of hanging off the cliff, like 1 hour a week, I don't even want you to get started. Yeah.
So have you, with the YouTube channel, have you been using, or has the YouTube channel helped your Amazon sales? Because you really don't talk about the products you sell on there.
No, I don't. I mean, I talked about my first...
I mean, you do talk about products you sell, but you're not specifically saying, hey, go buy this here.
Yeah, no. I don't advertise my products online. Like, our products are usually
we don't talk about that.
Yeah. But I did share my first failing product on YouTube, and
Tell us.
So that was one of my most popular ones. I just kind of did it because I wanted people to know what I did wrong. There's a lot of videos on YouTube where people are talking about like the glamour and everything with Amazon, and I have that as well, but I wanted to really focus on what mistakes not to make, because everyone is bound to make some sort of mistakes. And after losing $20,000, I don't want people to lose $20,000. So I was talking about my cell phone case. It was like a crossbody cell phone case purse. And I was just saying, like, don't do this, don't do that, and just try to avoid as many of these kind of problems as you can.
I think you and I would both agree, because I come from that cell phone world. Don't do cell phone stuff to start. Don't do cell phone stuff.
Don't do like the really common, like don't do a water bottle. You want to be different. You want to be unique. And if you do sell a water bottle, this water bottle has to like have legs or something, because no one's gonna.
It better be amazing.
It better be like superior, because water bottle, pencils, cell phone cases, jade rollers, they're just not good. You
have a whole video all about that.
So my students who are in my training, I have a whole list of products I do not allow them to sell.
Do not sell list. I've seen that video.
I'm going to go on and on about it. So.
Go watch that video. Seriously, that's a great video to watch.
Yeah.
So with the YouTube, I mean, obviously that's how I found out about you and met you, besides working at FeedbackWhiz. But I mean, how has that kind of changed your whole career and everything? I mean,
you know what? When I first started YouTube, I never wanted to do it. Like, I actually never wanted to do YouTube, but I just kept getting motivated because people were really enjoying my responses within Facebook groups. So when I started it, I just kind of kept going. And then today, I can't imagine my life without YouTube. I can't imagine my life without the people I mentor. It kind of became part of my life.
Completely understand.
Oh yeah, it's when you have a business, it's you. Like, I'm a business. I'm not away from my business. Yeah.
And the YouTube channel is that. I mean, that's part of that.
Now I've actually, I've met a lot of amazing people online. So when you provide a lot of value and when you are out there putting yourself out there to help others, you meet a lot of people that will help you. It's just like the law of attraction. So I've met tons of amazing people that have helped me in my business, my journey. And yeah, a lot of my best friends, like to date, I actually met them all online. Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's, so since we're probably getting close to the end and hopefully people are still watching when we post this, let's go over, let's say somebody getting started, what tools, which tools, how many tools do you think they should have? What are they? Are they pay-per-click tools? Are they, keyword research? What do you recommend for somebody starting out?
So with anybody who's starting, I totally understand if, you want to save money and you're on a budget. So for myself, I always make it budget friendly to anyone who reaches out to me saying, what do I really need to get started? Really, all I use is FeedbackWhiz, and I use another tool that does everything. So product research, keyword research, tracking keywords, hijacker alert, but I only use 2 tools.
Yeah.
Aside from QuickBooks, because I run a business.
Sure.
But when it comes to Amazon, you only need 2 tools. And I think that's another thing. A lot of people make it a bigger deal than it is, but I don't blame them because there's so many different tools. There's tons of tools out there with Amazon, but just stick to one email follow-up sequence and stick to one product research tool. There's a few of them.
Yeah.
That's it. That's really all. You don't have to get every single tool. You really don't. I don't even know every single tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to be neutral, do some research.
Yeah.
Go look at the tools and what they do and what people are saying about it.
And it's really a self-preference because a lot of the tools are really great, but if you feel like one is easier for you, then stick with that, right? But one thing to know about tools is that different software companies, they grab data at a different time. So I have a lot of people saying, how come when I look at this product, it's saying $10,000, but on another tool, it's saying $15,000 a month. And my response to them is, well, they're different tools. They don't
pull the data at the same time.
The data is always going to be different because of different timing. So
we get that question a lot. And we happen to pull a bit more than our competitors, which helps us stand out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but people should go out there, do their own research, look at what's out there. Most of the tools have free trials. We have a 30-day free trial, no credit card, and a lot of the others do. So go out and try them.
Right.
Try these tools, see if they work for you.
Don't cheap out on them.
Right?
You need tools. With every single business, you need tools. It's just, you can't work without tools.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to the Q&A, did I miss anything? I think we covered most of it. How about a big round of applause for Tamara, please? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for more information, please visit feedbackwhiz.com.